It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to feel a bit lost. You've never been this version of you before. All the other versions had to fight to get to this one, and this one is brand new. You haven't experienced the world as this version of you before, so it's okay. You're gonna feel a little lost. Give yourself some time. Give yourself some grace. Stay encouraged.
All right, brothers, welcome back to Male Choices. Today we're talking about women who thought divorce was their ticket to freedom, only to be hit by instant regret. Hit that like, subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell for more content breaking down these harsh truths. Let's dive right in.
Hey, it's me, Jenna. Recently divorced and trying to figure out this new way of life. I'm pretty for sure I'm in a new phase. I don't seem to fit in anywhere. Like anywhere. It's like my whole identity is gone. For 21 years, I was a mom. I did everything. I was a wife. Then I got separated and was in the phase of like, oh, I'm becoming free. I'm finding myself. I'm getting out of this abusive relationship and had to deal with all that trauma. And now that I'm past that, I'm literally like, what's new? Like, what's more in life? Like, what is there? Like, I want to change everything. And so much has already changed in my life that I'm like terrified that I'm just going above and beyond. Above and beyond.
When I met you, I thought I had found the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I was done. So all the boys and all the bars and all the obvious daddy issues, who cared? Because I was done. You left me. You chose Addison. I'm all glued back together now. I make no apologies for how I chose to repair what you broke. You don't get to call me a whore.
Here's the reality. Divorced women love throwing around the phrase, I left an abusive relationship. They claim they left their abuser, but now they're lost, not sure how to fit into their new life. Deep down, what they really miss isn't the man, it's the lifestyle. These are the same women who in their youth aimed to marry a millionaire, not for love, but for money. They got it. Now, after walking away, they're back in the game, dressing up, hitting the bars, trying to snag another rich guy. But here's the kicker. They'll soon regret leaving the so-called abuser when they realize they've given up more than they bargained for. Watch how fast that regret sets in.
Hey, it's me, Jenna. Recently divorced and trying to figure out this new way of life. I'm pretty for sure I'm in a new phase. I don't seem to fit in anywhere. Like anywhere. It's like my whole identity is gone. For 21 years, I was a mom. I did everything. I was a wife. Then I got separated and was in the phase of like, oh, I'm becoming free. I'm finding myself. I'm getting out of this abusive relationship and had to deal with all that trauma. And now that I'm past that, I'm literally like, what's new? Like, what's more in life? Like, what is there? Like, I want to change everything. And so much has already changed in my life that I'm like terrified that I'm just going above and beyond. Above and beyond.
When I met you, I thought I had found the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I was done. So all the boys and all the bars and all the obvious daddy issues, who cared? Because I was done. You left me. You chose Addison. I'm all glued back together now. I make no apologies for how I chose to repair what you broke. You don't get to call me a whore.
Remember, brother, men marry for love, but women often marry for lifestyle. It's a hard truth many don't want to hear. When a woman decides to divorce, she's got her friends and a lawyer in her ear, hyping her up with, you deserve better. The irony? A woman's worst enemy is often another woman, and that lawyer who's only focused on the paycheck they'll get from a millionaire divorce. They don't stop to think about the reality that things might not play out like they expect. This is the type of woman who married young and missed out on the so-called Chad carousel. Now, her husband's older, and she's looking for an exit, claiming she's been abused. But life wasn't so bad. Money buys happiness after all. But these women forget it also pays for good lawyers, and that's exactly what her ex-husband did. Women don't appreciate the cushy lifestyle they live, thinking it's all because of their efforts, especially when they're stay-at-home wives. But let's be real, everything around them costs money, and the man is the one footing the bill. Fast forward, she's moved 4 times, got nowhere to go, and is finding out life without the financial safety net isn't as glamorous as she thought. The nights of debauchery and freedom have lost their shine, and now she's realizing she's stuck in a life that's spiraling downward. Let's see what else she's got to learn from this mess.
It's Jenna, recently divorced, 47, and giving tips and asking questions about this new life after divorce. And I don't know, I'm in a different stage today. Honestly, I literally have been having a great week, amazing week. And then all of a sudden today, my emotions, I had the craziest thoughts. And I wonder, does anybody else feel this way? Like, I feel like I'm in mourning of the life I thought that I was going to have. And I'm kind of pissed at myself. I stayed in a marriage for 23 years and built up a family and my ex's career and everything. And we literally just got to where it was supposed to be everything we dreamed of. Like, owned a company, making, almost $1 million. And that was my breaking point. And I left it all. And I'm not a person that is about money, and I'm not a person who feels like they have to have like labels and name brands and all that stuff. But I really have found that like I've kind of been in mourning of the like, oh my gosh, like I gave it all up. And I don't have a traditional career. I'm a photographer that in my marriage, it was made to be a hobby. I never could outdo my other. I had to drop everything, to keep up with the family for their needs, to make sure everything built in their career, their business, all that. So it wasn't like I had a 9-to-5 where I got 401, where I got steady income, all that. Yes, I market the crap out of my business. Yes, I'm an amazing photographer. And yes, I have so many amazing clients. They're great. But the reality was like everything was around my family. So when I chose to leave, I gave it all up, like all up. And most people are like, oh, well, you should have got your end in court. No, South Carolina has some crazy, crazy rules. And I came out of a situation where I had been mentally abused, financially abused for 23 years. Like I was gaslit for so long that when I finally left, I had no clue that the worst was yet to come in the 1 year of separation. And so it's weird because I find that I just thought today for a split second, and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I thought, I should have just stayed. It wasn't that bad. Like, you made it 23 years. You made 26 years total. Your kids are like college and one's almost out of high school. Like, you made it. Like, it didn't matter at this point. They can do their own separate life and all that. You made it to the point where you guys were making so much money and you had big houses and you could do whatever you want and you can relax. And I literally just called my friend and I was like freaking out because like I'm the biggest person that keeps me back. Like I'm terrified. I don't have 401k. My counsel did not have my back. I was so traumatized when I got out and then terrorized for the next year that I couldn't even think straight to help the people that wanted to help me. And the people I entrusted to help me didn't help me. And there's just timelines that you can't stop. And so it is what it is. And, I'm 47 years old. It's not like I'm 25. I'm healthy. Kinda. I have an autoimmune disease, which means it's life-threatening for the rest of my life. Things can change. But it's not like I'm an invalid and can't do anything for myself. But it is terrifying. Like, I could have stayed. I'm so mad that I think this way. I could have stayed. My life would have been so much easier.
Let me tell you what went down here. This woman thought she'd be living the high life after the divorce, but guess what? No alimony, no child support. The kids are grown. Sure, she got the house, but now she can't maintain it. The reality is, she believed she was entitled to the wealth because she convinced herself she built it. But that's not how it works. This is why I always say a woman's worst enemy is another woman. She had a friend whispering in her ear, telling her to leave, to find her happiness. And that's exactly why you've got to watch who your wife talks to. If her circle is full of single or divorced women, brothers, you're next on the chopping block. That's exactly what happened to her. She listened to bad advice and now she's sitting around missing the good life, those vacations, the credit card with no limits, no worries. Meanwhile, her ex-husband, the abuser she claimed he was, is travelling the world with their kids. She's stuck at home with boyfriends who don't pay for anything. She's bored, drowning in responsibilities. But hey, she said she wanted her freedom, right? She needed mental health, claimed she deserved to be happy. Now she's crying over the money of the very man she called her abuser. That's what happens when you take advice from divorced women.
I could have just gone and done whatever I wanted, kind of. I mean, I say that, and then I think as I say that, I'm like, but you couldn't. It's like so weird that my brain thinks that way. And I called my girlfriend and I told her, I was like, I probably should have just stayed. I should have just stayed. It wasn't that bad. And she just started, she's like, Jenna, what are you talking about? Like, literally, they were horrible to you. They told you to shut up. They told you not to breathe, not to eat. Every little part of your life, every day you were miserable and you were crying. You are not remembering that. And then I just keep thinking, I'm like, but I had a huge house and all my bills were paid for and I never had to think how they were going to get paid. My grass was cut. Well, not the last year of separation. But you know what I mean? All the basic things to keep the image up. And I gave up my entire image that I was trained to have for my family for 23 years. Like, I was the stay-at-home mom and I made the image of we were the perfect family. I have beautiful children. They were dressed right. They, did top sports like cheer and football and went to all that stuff. And I was, the cheer mom and, did all that stuff and then did photography on the side just to make money, to make ends meet while he built his career up. And I stayed long enough to just give it all up when it was like right there. And I'm so mad at myself because I'm not this way. I don't think this way. And it's funny because I feel like it's almost made me hard in dating because anybody who is accomplished and all that, I'm like, oh, no, like I'm never going to depend on a man again, ever, especially after South Carolina laws. I want love. Don't get me wrong. I want love. I am a forever girl. Like I have learned in this dating scene, I am not a date around kind of girl. I also learned that like I immediately don't want full contact boyfriend. Like I need to heal. And do I want that one consistent where like hey, you want to go to a football game? Do you want to go to a bonfire? Do you want to have fun? That kind of thing. Yeah. But do I want to be on lockdown and have someone call me every 5 minutes and be like, what are you doing? Where are you at? No, I don't want that. I've got to heal myself. I've got to make sure whatever's right is right. And if that person comes along in my life and, it continues and it progresses, like I hope they're forever, but I'm not searching for it. But it is hard to be a single female when you're 47, when your kids are out. It's not like I have little kids. I always say if I had little kids, this would be not even a question because that instinct comes in. My kids, I got little kids. I got to get them up for school. I got to get them to here. I got to get them to there. I got to go to work. I got to do that. I don't have that. I'm literally at home. The worst time of my day is after the gym at night when the house is quiet and silent and I just am in my thoughts. And it's so hard. Like I'm my own boss. If I don't go to work, if I get sick, nothing happens. And my Jenna photography would just crumble. And I love what I do. I have a passion for it. I love it. But I'm in my head. Like I'm literally in my head. And I'm booking shoots and I'm doing amazing. I'm so excited. But every time I think future and long run, I freak out because my future was right there. Like it was solidified. Like I was comfortable for the rest of my life. Maybe not mentally in my relationship, but financially I was fine. And I gave it all up to be happy. And I know time will come. I know that will happen. And I'm not a materialistic person and I'll never ever be with someone for money. But it's terrifying. Like, am I the only one that feels this way? Like, I think people just think, oh, well, she's blonde, blue eyes. She's a gold digger. She did this. No. We had nothing when we started. Actually, I had more money than my ex. And, I had my own career. And then as things happened, I stayed home and, followed his career. So I'm just so frustrated with myself. I keep telling myself, I'm like, you're not, I remember the bad. It's right here. But I also am like, maybe I should have just stayed. It was like stable in every other area but that. Like, is my mental health really that important? And then my friends remind me, they're like, yes, like you're just in that crazy in-between stage. And I'm trying to work through it. I'm trying to work through the process. But it's terrifying. It's terrifying to start over at 47. And I would love any tips. Like, does anybody else feel this way? Like, I know men probably have the same situation too, but I really think it's more terrifying, like me as a female. And I even consider going to different types of jobs and careers, and I love my job. Like, I make good money, but I'm so terrified. I'm like, I don't have 401k. Like, I don't know. Is this another stage of divorce? I'm happy, but I go into these random thoughts of, you gave it all away. Like, was it worth giving away? And I know it was. I know it was for my mental sanity. I know it was for my happiness. It will all come together, but it's still terrifying to start over at this age. Anybody else feel this way? Like, is this any tips? Just let me know. I'm trying to figure it out. And I know I did what was right, but it's hard to know you gave away. My ex will probably never make less than $1 million every year. And I'm starting over. And basically as if I'm a 20-year-old again. And it just doesn't seem fair, but I have to quit crying and just do it. So any tips and advice? Is this normal? How did you get through this stage? Tell me what you did, because I have no choice.
See what I'm talking about? She gets divorced, hops on social media to make videos and starts begging for sympathy. Women, especially those who had everything handed to them in their youth just because of their looks, are addicted to attention. Now that she's older, she spins this sob story about her abusive ex-husband and wants simps in her comment section to feel sorry for her. And believe me, the simps are out there. It's embarrassing. The truth is, losing her ex-husband didn't hurt her. It was losing his money that stung. She's never going to be happy with any man that comes after him because her ex set the financial bar too high. Now, at 47, she's emotionally crying over a Chad, some guy who brings nothing to the table but his seed. She's chasing a younger man who can satisfy her in one place. But guess what? Chad isn't sticking around for a 47-year-old woman. He's doing what her husband didn't, and now he's telling her straight up, no commitment. And that's what really hurts her. Let's check out the second part.
I don't even know where we left off.
You were still in a relationship.
I was?
Yep.
Damn.
All I'm going to say is that situationships after being married, the first relationship of any kind that you go through, I think is way harder to get over than even the marriage. So hear me out, and this is why. I've heard this before. I never thought it was true. I thought there is no way in hell. I was married to someone for 23 years. Like, there's no way that the first relationship or situationship that I actually feel something for somebody would be harder than leaving a marriage with children. But it's true. And let me tell you why. Because usually what happens is, by the time a female leaves, she has exhausted every single part of her mind, soul, body, spirit, hope, anything you can imagine to keep that relationship together. She has thought it every way possible, begged, pleaded, just prayed, dreamed for this to work out. Because a normal relationship, if you're going to get married, you're not going to go into it wanting to get divorced. And especially if you have children, a mama is always going to try and keep her babies together, especially with their baby daddy, right? So I never thought that. But as a marriage breaks down and as a woman begs and pleads for that person to give them love, affection, be kind, or whatever it is, the love goes away. And you may be going through the actions and you may be wishing and hoping and praying for all those things, especially if you have children involved. But it's inevitable when someone is treating you horribly for the emotion to go away, for the love to go away. So by the time I got out of my marriage, there was no love loss. And it's funny because I've been everyone seeing my TikToks, and it really does blow my mind when people are like, oh, you need to get over your ex. And I'm like, I've been over my ex for years, like years upon years. I actually had to literally pep myself up in my head to try to even be in the mindset of wanting to be like a couple, and had to literally like talk myself into certain things, especially when it came to physical stuff, since he wasn't into that. And so when it was so random, I literally had to convince myself that this was, something that needed to happen to make the marriage work or to make him happy or whatever. It became part of my job, right? So it is crazy when my friends would say, be careful of that first relationship where you actually have emotion. And I was like, no way. I'm not that girl. Like, never going to be that way. But it's true. It really is true. Because what happens is, by the time I left my marriage, I was so closed off and shut off to being hurt, to being rejected, to being put down or talked down to, or anything else that you could think of, that I was just so happy to get out of my marriage. Don't count all the other drama. I'm just talking about the affection and love part of the marriage. That by the time I had gotten out, I was just so thankful to be out of that toxic environment that I was completely shut off to having my feelings hurt. Now, granted, I had 1 year of separation, and there was a whole other can of worms that was thrown into the mix, but the actual love for that person had already been gone for years. Now, don't get me wrong. I want nothing bad to happen to my ex. He will always be the father of my children. Yes, I do not think he's the nicest person, and yes, he definitely put me through hell, but the reality is I will always have deep down affection. I would not call it love, but an affection for him in that aspect that he's the father of my children. He will always be attached to me in some form or shape because I want my children to be happy. I don't want them to ever feel like they have to pick or choose. And as they get older, they will have their own family. So we always be in some type of connection. Granted, it's not in that place right now, but in my mind, as a good parent and as a good future, co-parent, I hope that to happen. But what I'm talking about is when you first get that little piece of energy with that special someone. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, my inboxes are crazy full, all that stuff. There's a gazillion guys I have no connection with. But that one that just, like, for some odd reason, you have no idea why.
Stop it. Get some help.
Like, no idea why. That there's just this, like, connection. Like, you have met before that they just get you or whatever it is. It's different. And it takes that wall down. And brick by brick, my wall came down. And it was funny, like, you get that first touch or that first kiss or that first, affection and being with someone, not just physically, but mentally and psychologically and spiritually, and just that want to, and energy like that, almost like you're like butterflies in your stomach, you know what I mean? Like when you're younger and you're in high school and you just can't wait to see that person, or you can't wait to talk to them and hear about their day, or just a touch barely grazing their arm as you walk by is just like electric. And that's what it's like legit. That is legit what it's like. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a long process to find that one. And, more than likely that first situationship or that first person in your life that comes into your life is not going to be the one that's going to be in your life forever. But it really is surprising to me how hard that one relationship was to get over. And, deep in the back of your head, you're like, what if, and why did this, or what was the reason this person got my attention out of all the others? And what was the reason that this person made me think that, like, you know what? Maybe I could do this again. Like, is this love? Is this what love is supposed to be? Because it was so closed off and shut down for so long that I didn't even know that I could love again. I was that wife that did everything for my children and my husband, and I didn't step out on him and all that stuff. Like, even though I was miserable and unhappy, I was loyal. And it's just crazy to have, like, you don't think of being with anybody else. Like, that was not my mindset. And by the time I got out, I was just trying to heal. So when that person just popped into my life, I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, okay, it's just a simple go out on a date. And then I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I'm checking my phone and, like, did he message, or did he like, or did he look? And then you get that first kiss, or, walking around holding their hand, and you're just like, wow, this is comfortable. Like, I could do this. Like, I want this. And then the moment you have that friendly interaction, the one we all want, and it's, I mean, obviously things are not perfect, but you know, it's comfortable and it's relaxed and it's what you need and you actually feel like you crave it. Let me tell you, that's just hard to get over, because once you've opened up that door, I don't know about y'all, especially my age group, I'm like, woo, it takes a lot to get my attention. So if you got my attention and you made me want more, it's hard. And you get attached. I feel like I got attached way easier to this person than anybody else. And my brain racks it around, like that situationship. And people are like, well, how long did you date or whatever? And you're like, we didn't really have like a relationship. It was just the connection and to get to know each other and all that. You know what I mean? So it is crazy, because I found it harder to get over my situationship right after my marriage than it has any other relationship in my entire life. Doesn't that sound crazy? I just don't get it. It blows my mind that I would ever feel a connection for someone like that. Someone I just known for a couple months and talked to for a couple months versus someone I knew for decades. Does anybody else find this normal? Like, I mean, I've heard it a lot, but I just never thought it was something real or true. And I guess I'm learning. I also think it's a really good thing too, because you know what it showed me? It showed me that the person that hurt me and broke me and told me I was not worthy and did not want to touch me and did not have any affection for me didn't break my spirit and made me cold to other people. So in a way, it's almost like, even though that situationship was hard and it is hard to get over, I feel like it was the best thing possible, because it let me know that I am not closed off. I am not cold to love. I do want love. I do want affection. I do want someone to be in my life. But it also taught me that just because I feel energy for someone, maybe they don't feel it. And I have to accept the fact that, like, life goes on. And that energy may have been great for you, but not somebody else. And that relationship is over and you move on. And you're an adult. You're going to find it at some point. Life will happen, and not to force it. So, yeah, I feel like situationship was harder to get over than my marriage, which is kind of crazy. But here I am, thriving, moving on, and so open to it. I'm actually excited for the next one. So we'll see. I'll keep y'all updated. But let me know what you think. Is that first relationship after a divorce the hardest one to get over? Or were y'all just running around crazy? Because I've heard that too. Have a good day.
She grieved that relationship long before it ended. She was probably tired of her ex-husband, who was likely older and couldn't perform in bed like he used to. Then along came Chad, the young guy who caught her attention, and, as expected, she opened her legs. Chad brought the excitement, no doubt, but as usual, he's just another guy focused on spreading his seed. There's no way he's going to make time for a 47-year-old single mother with kids. She's just a good time for him. Now she's comparing her ex-husband to Chad, thinking it'll be the same. Of course it won't. Her ex-husband, the hard-working beta provider, gave her everything for years. Chad's never going to do that. She even admits her ex wasn't unfaithful. He was the typical nice guy. But she threw all that away to get back on the carousel, thinking she could relive her younger years. Problem is, it's not the same at 47 as it was at 25. This is the second part of the story. It's a reminder of how things end up for women who leave a high-value man, always labeling him as an abuser just to justify leaving him for Chad.